Hi there and welcome to this bite-sized PD on vocabulary instruction. This is an important aspect of literacy instruction and it belongs in the oral language strand of Scarborough's Reading Rope. It is absolutely critical for comprehension. We'll be taking a quick look at the different tiers of vocabulary, building a vocabulary routine, examples of graphic organizers, considerations for primary and older students, and where to find more resources to support your vocabulary instruction. Beck, McEwen, and Kuchin outlined vocabulary in three categories that they demonstrated could be classified into three tiers. Tier 1 vocabulary makes up the most common everyday words that we hear. These are very basic, simple words such as baby, kid, sad, bus, dog, etc. Tier 2 vocabulary is made up of robust, high-frequency words that students encounter across different curricular content areas. These are high-utility and high-impact words such as reliable, astute, rare, consequence, typical, summarize, simplify, etc. These words can be applied in multiple aspects of students' lives and studies. Tier 3 vocabulary are low-frequency, content-specific words such as photosynthesis, polygon, suffix, etc. These are very important words for specific academic areas, but they are not high-utility words. We want to focus our time and efforts on explicitly teaching Tier 2 vocabulary words to help students understand and develop robust vocabularies that will help them with their reading, writing, and understanding. This is an overview of what a weekly vocabulary routine could look like. Monday, you might read aloud the words, introduce new words, and share definitions as well as a few examples, and post those vocabulary and definitions on a vocabulary wall. Tuesday, you might ask questions about what the words mean, ask them to think a little deeper about why, provide some examples, and have some oral discussion. Wednesday, you might do a fill in the blank with missing words to have students apply their vocabulary knowledge. Thursday, you could provide sentences and do a thumbs up, thumbs down, yes or no, on whether or not the sentences make sense with their new vocabulary words. And on Friday, you might give them some sentence stems and have them finish the sentence, applying their knowledge to creating their own written work. And you could also include an entry into a vocabulary journal to summarize their learning. When we talk about vocabulary, it's common to hear about Frayer models. These are examples of Frayer models. They often are given as an example of a graphic organizer that can be used to collect information about new vocabulary words. These models often include a student-friendly definition, model sentence, part of speech, perhaps synonyms and antonyms, also known as examples and non-examples, as well as illustrations. There are many varieties of Frayer models, but the intent is to develop as many connections to a word as possible to help students remember their new vocabulary and understand how to apply these words in their everyday life, language, and learning. Primary students are often word curious, and it's so important that explicit vocabulary instruction starts with our youngest learners, and their good language habits continue throughout their schooling. Exposure to language-rich classrooms and environments help build the foundation of language and literacy learning. Read-alouds are a fantastic source of new vocabulary words for students. Children's books contain a much higher exposure for new vocabulary words than child-to-child or even child-to-adult conversation. It really is the best way to broaden students' understanding of oral language. There are also many games that can be used to reinforce student word acquisition, such as headbands, charades, Pictionary, and categories. Peter H. Reynolds has a fantastic picture book, The Word Collector, that can be used to launch students into developing a curiosity of language as they collect their own new and novel words. As students mature, their vocabulary routines can expand to include a number of new strategies, including morphology, shades of meaning, and other language connections. Teachers may want to include instruction on different syllable types, as well as morphology, the study of the smallest units of meaning in words. This includes Greek and Latin roots, suffixes, prefixes, and other morphological elements. Both syllable types and morphology can help students to decode and understand unfamiliar multisyllabic words that they encounter in their studies. You might also want to include synonyms and antonyms, making connections and improving students' semantic maps, which help students understand a wider range of the oral language or shades of meaning. This helps students look for more precise language when it comes to their own expression, such as using words like immense, monumental, or colossal instead of big. Even students who are struggling as readers need to be exposed to higher level vocabulary. Their language skills should not suffer because of their decoding skills. It is very important that all students have access to explicit vocabulary instruction. On Insight, you can find a list of potential Tier 2 vocabulary words by grade. These lists are not exhaustive, but are meant to provide examples of high-utility words that can be pulled from student materials. They are meant as inspiration to help you develop your own list of Tier 2 vocabulary from the materials in your classes. You'll find these lists in Curriculum and Instruction under Language Arts in the Cues and Conventions Scope and Sequence folder. There are also plenty of online resources, books, and podcasts to help take your learning of vocabulary instruction further. Your learning facilitators are happy to support in classrooms with comprehension and language strategies to help your students with their reading, writing, and thinking. Cunningham, Perkins, and Yates assert that vocabulary is the glue that holds stories, ideas, and content together. It facilitates making comprehension accessible. Thanks for joining today to learn more about vocabulary instruction.